I didn't bring it out yet. Or did I? 1 second. Oh, shoot. Well, maybe not. I could have swore I brought that out here. No, I guess I did not. I did not bring it, the thing out here already. It's not over there, is it? Nope. Such a foreign place out here in the barn. What's going on, Bill? Oh, wait. Yeah, yeah. It's too cold to keep my my jacket unzipped, though. Hello, what's going on? Yeah, I'm not, it's not too bad. I figured I'd give it at least one more week, but as I was headed out here, my wife told me that next week is going to be snow. So next week, more than likely, I'm going to be in the kitchen, hanging out. Yeah, trying to stay warm. I live in the north, but I'm not a fan of the north. I'm not a fan of the cold at all. So every time it starts to chill down, I hunker down pretty good. Yeah, you're welcome. Zort Racing. I'll put the stickers upon the cart when the time comes. Headed the Chili Bowl track for the first time. Normally run repeat track. Any pointers? Ooh, cold. If you're prepping, I will caveat that with that. Usually, colder track tells you a little softer tire, a little more aggressive prep. But I'm unfamiliar with the. I've heard of the Chili Bowl. I just never have actually done anything like that. I don't. I've never run dirt in the winter. So the only thing I've done during the winter racing wise is either indoor, road course stuff, electric karts there, or I've done Syracuse indoor twice, which the plan is to go to that this year. So I should have a video for that coming out when I do go to that. It's a busy weekend altogether. So apparently I get up in the morning, butt crack of dawn, I'm going to drive out to Syracuse. I'm going to go, visit people and watch some racing and this and that, and then beat feet back here to Dansville. And we have Winter in the Village. That's always the same day. Go up and there's lit Christmas trees and they do, they have a wine tasting tour. Like they close down Main Street and you can walk around and sample wines. It's not my thing. Kind of fun to walk on Main Street though with everything blacked off. And then the following day we are going to see the Nutcracker with the brother and mother-in-law. So very busy weekend coming up here in a couple weeks. Should be fun though. Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. All the northern territories are we're awfully chilly. How did Alabama Saturday pick up? Heck yeah, that thing looks awesome. That's I will say I'm a little jealous. I don't foresee me ever getting out of karting. I mean, I've been doing it for 23 years. My daughter's 23, so I've been racing 23 years. I don't ever foresee me getting out of karting, but if I were to get out of karting, I might favor like a dirt kart legend. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but you're down south and, that's a come down to Liberty Indoors. Yeah, I know, right? I think about that every year, going south for a race or two, and financially, it's just tough. Christmas coming up and everything. And when you're a little closer to those things, and I'm not saying you are, Bill, but it's just not in the card. Doesn't ever seem to be in the cards. Right now, I'm using the time to recoup finances. Actually, I started a list for like JC Specialties and stuff that I got to get on. If I buy things steadily over the winter, it won't be such a sticker shock come springtime when I'm, the cart's basically ready to go. I got to freshen some engines, and there's a couple things there's a couple things like, oh shoot, what was I going to get for this thing? Oh, a 10-tooth driver for my, I don't know, I was looking into those. Slack makes them, they're back ordered though. A 10-tooth driver with a bearing. I did, somebody was asking about that, and I believe it was, shoot, drawing a blank. I'll think of it in a minute. Headrush engines. Um, had mentioned that Slack has them, and Slack's close to me. The only reason I have a tendency not to order from Slack is because they, it's nothing against them, I guess. It's only an hour and a half, but boy, I really get hit on shipping. Every time I order something from Performance, I get hit on shipping pretty good, and it just upsets me. That cost doesn't seem to correlate between JC, which JC's like 2.5, 2 3/4 hours away from me, and they just, whatever shipping deal they have, they get a better deal through JC. So I have a tendency to order through JC, not Slack, but they do carry a 10 and 11 tooth bearing driver. So I definitely am looking into that. They're pricey. They're like $75 a whack, but definitely going to look into that. I am going to look into the slider mount. So when you're adjusting your chain, I think that'll make for a wonderful video, and be, if I got to change gears, that'll be pretty sweet to have. You look into that. Obviously, tires and stuff like that. Nothing really to rebuild on the new Shatter Blast. It's got one race on it, so I think I'm pretty good to go there. I do have the mini gears and the mini hub, hence why I need the smaller driver. I also have accelerator gear guard that I got to put on it, and that might come shortly here. I was actually looking for it before the start of the stream, or right at the beginning of the stream, because I think I'll make a short out of that, putting the accelerator gear on, and or gear guard on, and the mini gear onto this axle. Maybe I won't. It's still pretty chilly. Maybe I'll wait till the daytime to do that. But yeah. Yeah, the slider mount. Yeah, I've seen people have them, and I'm like, I think I'm missing out, man. Yeah, but 10-tooth bearing driver, the slider mount is awesome. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, and plus, it's inherently a thing that if you're running a standard mount like I do, that you got to dig out the little hex heads, and then you end up trying to strip them. And if you're in say you're running multiple classes and you're trying to change gear in between, you run out of time. I can see those quick sliders being a really, really good thing. I mean, bam, bam, bam. I can imagine how much quicker that is. That definitely looking into it. It looks like they're a couple $100. So that's doable. I'll use some Google money. If anybody ever wonders what I do with what I won't say it's a lot of money, but what money I do get from Google from the channel and stuff, it 99.9% of the time goes right back into racing, goes into tires, goes into fuel, goes into all that stuff. Over the winter time, I use it to acquire racing stuff to show you guys, and obviously to benefit myself the following year. But yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I'm going to, J.R. Garcia, that's one of the things I'll probably reach out and get a catch can, because I have that somewhere around here that I got picked on it. Somebody, a local buddy of mine, was picking on me that, that catch can's worth 2 tons. It's like, it's an old overflow canister from a 2-stroke. And I'm like, it's a catch can. Run a tube off the valve, the valve cover, and it's a catch can. It's not, I know it's not a Mountain Dew bottle, but it works. But J.R. Garcia's stuff looks phenomenal. Also, Custom Kart Designs is coming out with some really cool stuff. I just saw they announced something else. I shared that on my Facebook page. Yeah, I dig this 3D printed stuff, and I think it's JR. I was bantering back and forth with him. He's just like, oh, if you understand CAD design at all, it's real easy to figure out the programming for this things. I do not. I am not technologically advanced when it comes to computer stuff. Like, my boss asked me to, he's like, Ben, you're good with the computers, come in and fix this thing at work. And I go in, and I can dabble around and figure out what's going on. He's just like, oh, I thought you were better at this. I was like, I have a laptop. I don't use it. it's a gaming laptop. It was pretty good for the day that I bought it, but I run everything off my phone. I run the channel off my phone, any responses, anything like that. I edit videos on my phone, which I did. I switched up a little bit. I've been paying for CapCut, and I started editing the videos in CapCut. Now I can do, some cooler, the words that pop up when I screw up or mispronounce something or whatever. When I'm doing a product name, I can kind of accentuate that and make it really grab you. It's a real easy editing software on your phone. So if any of you ever get into this, if you're doing videos or anything like that on YouTube, and plus I will tell you this, that editing videos in iMovie works great. I done it for years. It wasn't up until, the past 2 videos that I finally made the switch over for my actual formatted videos for Sundays, over to it, that I have the footage, I put it in iMovie, I do all my editing and in your standard type stuff, but then you have to save it back from the app of iMovie onto the phone. And I know it's not that long, but it drives me nuts. It's like, man, you can't touch the phone or anything, or else it'll reboot and start all over again. It's just a pain. I started doing it in CapCut. It's, like 2 minutes. I have a 20-minute video that I did editing on. It's re-uploaded to my phone as a complete project, and so much better. I know they have a version for laptops and for PC and stuff like that, but again, I don't use that. I just do everything on my phone. But yeah, always my concern was to strip out. Yeah, I've done it a ton on my my Open and my UAS ride. I've stripped those things out, and boy, I can usually get them out, and I carry spares with me just in case those hex heads go around. And it's partially my fault because I'm trying to be lazy, I guess. I use my impact on them. I know, big no-no, but just the way, buzz, 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 and they come out. Well, if you don't have it all the way seated up in there, you have a bigger chance of rounding them out. I know getting an Allen key in there is the better route, but, I'm only human. Best way to drop Duro on Maxxis pinks and blues. It depends on how low you want to go and what chemical you are currently using. If it is, if you want to get it down, in a hurry and add as much grip as possible, and the longevity of the tire isn't of your concern. Goat P, Track Tack Gold Grip, which is Goat P, internal, external, that is gonna sink it right down. But I would start, if you're really wanting to drop the durometer, if you have a way to use a rotisserie of some sort, if you have a hot box, if you have a cold roll system, rolling internally, I would really up the ounces or cc's there. I would dare say, 4 to 5 ounces on the right sides, half that in the lefts. It's just, I know there's people that break it down a lot better. It's what I've always gone by. It's easy for me to understand. I like real basic stuff. I like basic measurements. We use ounces at work all the time. So when I don't talk about cc's, I talk about using ounces, and that's what I run. You can get super aggressive inside and then, do your work from the outside. But if you're talking about what chemical is going to drop the durometer the most out of all of them, Goat P is your answer. But with the caveat that once a goat tire, always a goat tire. Eventually, when the goat stops working and the durometer starts to climb, there is tough to no way of getting it back down. Those tires are basically junk. It's not a super fast process. You don't go to tire for one run and then it's junk. That's not the case. But if if you have say a tire that you did it to and you let it set a couple months, that chemical in goat is going to break down the tire. What makes goat work is actually breaking down the tire, and eventually those oils are going to dissipate and the tire is going to harden, and that's the end of that tire. The carcass of that tire is done. Every time I run my, like a lot of people, I run my screen brightness down so I save battery, and then I can't read anything. Ryan here, PJ, we all appreciate it. I got to get better at this. Ryan here, PDQ Engines. We all appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge. Thank you very much. I talked briefly with Ryan here at PDQ, and looks like he's got a really good thing going down. I believe you're in Kentucky. I think my little bit of research found that out, but I can appreciate aesthetically. I know it's just what the tins that go on it's more important what the internals of the engine are doing, and I'm sure you got great stuff. But when the purple with your logos on there looks great. I'm like, it's just a fast looking engine. I like that. Hey Ben, have you ever bought anything from Uncle Frank's in Nebraska? I've been trying to get a hold of them for weeks and nobody answers the phone. Just says voicemail box is full. I don't want this to come off as a bash, but I ordered some stuff prior to this year from them, and I ordered online. I paid for it, and it was weeks. And then I was like, all right, I was in no rush for it. I'm never a pushy person. I probably emailed them 2 to 3 times, maybe 4 times. I don't know. It was a bit of a bear. I don't know what, it was always a name in the back of my head. Oh, Uncle Frank's, and they may still carry the Eliminator steering wheel. I'm not quite sure, but it was a place that I told people to go and get the Eliminator steering wheel. And I had the darndest time getting stuff from them. I have ordered from them. I didn't have a great experience, unfortunately for them. That probably, I don't know, let's see, put a nail in the coffin of me ordering them again, but I would be hard pressed to order from them. I always get an answer at JC, so I order stuff from JC Specialties. I know that Uncle Frank's carries, some things that JC doesn't, but I know not only they are a sponsor of my channel, but I have had great luck with the efficiency of JC. There's always somebody there, even if they're, they usually can take your call if they're not on the line at all. If not, you can use the website. You can order stuff there. You can email them. They're very efficient in getting back to you. And if they have the parts in stock, they get them out to you pretty quick. So, not bashing. I never ever want to seem negative about somebody, but I will, tell you guys the truth that I didn't have good luck with them. It doesn't mean they can't turn the ship around. I don't know what's going on with them, why that was the case, but yeah. They look active on Facebook from what I see. Yeah. I think I follow them and stuff like that. I just, I had always heard, oh, get it from Uncle Frank's. I'm like, cool. It was, yeah, I just, maybe it was the beginning of last year. Maybe it wasn't this year that I can't remember. Anyway, I had problems. I had problems getting stuff from them. It was more time or, something like that. But I got the stuff that I ordered eventually. I'll say that. So take what you will from that. We never know what is going on in people's personal lives or business lives. They may have run into a snag, anything, having people work for them. I don't know. You just never know. Yeah, no problem. I try and, like I said, I try and be as truthful as possible. I'm never going to bash on anybody. I don't even like arguing on the internet for the most part. I have opinions and I can argue, but I was like, you know what? It's not worth my time. Very few people have ever changed my mind on the internet about something, arguing their point, being, say, a jerk about it. I will contradict. I had an incident. We'll call it an incident. It's not really an incident. I had shared a company on my Facebook that was selling. It had a sale on bodies, and I think it's somebody came in there, and it was. I get where they were going, but there's so many other ways to go about getting across what they were saying, and they had to throw in at the end, this product's junk. And it's just like, man, why? Why? Just, I don't understand the keyboard commando. I don't understand the negativity. I don't get it. It's just like, you can't grow the sport just negative. You can't be an assistant to somebody else and hope that things thrive. if you're being negative all the time, it doesn't mean that everything's perfect. That's not what I'm saying, but seriously, like just doom and gloom all the time. It's like, man, do you not love the sport? Do you not want it to flourish? I don't understand. Some people just they lack of a better term, get off on that. They enjoy the negative. They enjoy the drama. I can't compute it. And it was enough for me to say something. And I wasn't rude. I was just what I believe was factually based and contradicted what they were saying. I did the same thing with a scale stand and didn't come through, but they were good about the credit. Yeah. That's maybe there was something I couldn't get from them. They didn't have them, or it wasn't in stock, or maybe I think it was one of the things was a fairing, and they were waiting for a clear fairing. It's a clear fairing I have on there. Clear fairing to come in, but it was just the customer service was, is what it is. Hey, I got a good question for you. What's the temperature in your barn? Cold? Whatever it's really weird. I don't pay attention to the weather unless it's race day. I really don't. You get up in the morning and there's, I'm not the type of person unless, satirically, saying, "Oh, look, everybody, it snowed." It's New York. Of course, it snows every year. If I had to venture a guess, 30, I can see my breath. Just barely, but I can see my breath. I would venture a guess at 32 to 35. Could be warmer than that. I don't know. It's pretty cold. The biggest problem whatsoever, and I got boots on. The biggest thing in here is the concrete floor. It is a savior during the summer months because it retains the cool temperature. And all I got to do is have a little fan going on. No need for AC or like that. It never gets that hot in here. It's a big 2-story barn that I'm in. Up there's a loft that I never ever go in. The squirrels live up there. And I had an incident with mourning doves a couple years ago, getting in there and pooping all over the place. And there's a whole bunch of old trash cart bodies and random stuff from my mom, my aunt, this and that. And I went up there and I looked at the destruction after I cured the problem of the mourning doves and sealed it off. Not sealed it off. I closed the door. And I was just like, you know what? I will attack it someday. We'll probably move the RV, put a dumpster out there. I'll go up and just clean it out so it's clear, free and clear eventually down the line. But anyway, between the roof, I have a tin roof on it, and then there's the loft of the barn, and then come down here, and then something about during the summer, it retains cooler temperatures very, very easily. And I think it's due to the concrete floor. It's probably, I don't know, 8 inches thick. It's pretty dense stuff, poured a long time ago, but in the winter, it's unfortunate because your feet will start to ache before everything else. I mean, your hands get cold. I'm in New York. It's nothing I haven't experienced before, but your feet start to ache because of how cold it is. And we'd been outside, in and out, obviously getting out of work and stuff. I was just like, I can pull off at least one more night for the live stream in the barn. I'll be okay. But yeah, it's chilly out here. Nothing I'm not used to. We're having a lot of controversy in Purple 2 Junior 2 Champ. We're having races that are just demo derby, kids running sometimes faster than adults and driving through. Yeah, I don't want to say it's a demo derby, but the speed thing is a thing. The local track, AMS, Allegheny Memorial Speedway, that I run at, sometimes the juniors, because they're so light. I mean, you're talking sub 300 pounds. And I know it's not champ, but they get cooking around there, especially on a really good night. There's a lot of grip to be had because they're so light. Even though they're junior motors, they can keep the momentum up a little bit more. And but the demo derby stuff, it's really... it's almost, I'll say this strangely, societal issue that selfish. And unfortunately, I'm not trying to bash on parents or anything, but if you don't teach your kid correctly, and there's some point of you start getting run over, even as a kid, that you're over it, and then that starts a chain of events that you ran into me, I run into you, it's it's quite a bit up to the parents to nip that in the butt and make it not an issue. If it's, but you got the parents, and I'm not saying it's that group of parents or anything, but they win at all costs. I don't care what it takes to win. You go out and win, and it's just a very selfish mentality. I am no saint. I got called out on the internet years ago for rough driving. Driving over my head, getting into people, just, I'm going for it. I got a fast cart, I'm going for it. It is in UAS too, so extremely dangerous. And it's a learning experience. It's one thing to run through somebody to get your position, but when you have a slightly off night and they run through you, it should be a teaching moment, like little Jimmy, Bobby, whoever, just like, you remember when you ran into Carl last week? Now, Carl ran into you. And if you continue to run like that, it's such a better feeling to be able to drive around somebody cleanly, to just outright beat them than it is to beat up on them, in my opinion. I always feel like I try not to ever soapbox on here, and sometimes I'm like, I am preaching to the choir though, because I'm not saying anything that is unknown. But yeah, I use a weather rope and never look anywhere. Yeah, as a kid, and we made a barometer, and it was always funny. It was a donkey with his tail, and my grandma let me hang it up at her house, and it was basically if the tail's dry, it's nice outside. If it's wet, it's raining outside. If the tail is gone, go to the basement. That's a hurricane. Yeah. Some kids have the maturity and experience to do it. Some get thrown in with no experience running and racing, but getting bad. I'm told, Rylan, we are not driving through people to win. Yeah, absolutely, and that's good on you, Alan. It's a respect thing, and unfortunately, you will find that, like, it's even as adults, we behave like children. Especially, I've been in more than one big UAS race, and people are selfish and they do what they do, and you have to be talked to by the race director. That happened. We got talked to in the C main. There was D main, and it was bad. It was, watch part of it, and I'm like, ooh, this is not good. And it was caution. And then we got spoken to. It's like, man, we didn't do anything yet. It's like, you're preemptively yelling at us. I understand the concept. I understand why he did it, and I thought we behaved accordingly. Sometimes even adults need to be spoken to and be like, man, what are you doing? We got to get up on morning. We got to get up on Monday morning. We got to go to work. Nobody is getting rich doing this stuff. We pay to play. And egos, man. It is one of my biggest things. The ego of people. Confidence and ego are two sides of the same coin, but it is easily flipped. And you can be confident and you can be respectful, and it is beyond rewarding to have confidence, to make that pass cleanly and get by them knowing that I just put it on them. There was no, I didn't rough them up, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't have to cheat, I just straight up beat them. That reward is so much more fulfilling than running through somebody. Now, I can play devil's advocate all day long, and there's people that block and do dumb stuff in front of you, and their cart's a little off, and they're running right in your line, and you give them a tap or two, let you know, hey man, you're kind of holding me up here, and then they purposefully, make it even more difficult. Like, oh, if you're fast enough, you go around me. Not if you're blocking. That's not cool. I've seen that too. Like, block, 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 and then they get moved and they're bent out of shape. It's just like, man, dude. So, you know, I try and devil's advocate a lot of things and understand where it's coming from. But when it comes to kids, a lot of it has to come down to the parents. Like if you are telling your child not to do that, obviously it's not getting through. But I've been at the track, you know, and I love the track. I love the families. I love the family atmosphere. But some parents are just they're just parents that are wrongly led in this life, or you know, have a different perception when it comes to, you know, racing. I believe they don't use the black flag. Yeah, yeah, I've gotten a black flag pointed at me. There's no soapbox here. It was a mistake I made. 2019 Jasper, Florida, in the Grand Nationals, and I didn't realize his lifting point. I really didn't. He was ill handling. I was coming up through. I had qualified 7th, and then locked a motor up, running away in my heat race to lock myself into the feature. And then I had to B-main it, and I had to come from the rear, and I had a very fast kart. And when I was coming through, I had caught the guys at the tail end of the transfer positions, and I just didn't realize what ails his kart had. And he was lifting super early. By the time I caught him, it was too late, and I hit him so hard, so very hard. I felt horrible instantly. That I don't. I maybe a couple times have moved somebody, but I don't wreck people on purpose. And I not only got the black flag pointed at me as a warning, I did end up getting the transfer in the A main, but I also got spoken to in the pre-A main. They said, "Who's the 63?" That's me. And I'm like, yep, I deserve all of it. I deserve all the critique. That was me. Bad decision. Didn't realize what was going on. My bad. I was so into trying to make the transfer spot that I just wasn't aware enough, and I unfortunately wrecked somebody. Ending their night. It was not intentional, but yeah. Locally, after the rules of meeting, we have decided to be more aware, and if the junior driver is black flagged, a track worker will explain, use it as a coaching moment, and not treat it as a punishment. There you go. Absolutely. That, you know, that's a perfect example of a correct move. You know, not just a punishment is necessary sometimes. Absolutely. But using that as a teaching moment, absolutely. You point at a black flag, you pull the kid over, just like you said, say, this is why we did it. If you continue to behave like this, if you continue to do this, we will wave it at you. You will be done for the night. It's no fun pulling it in, and, you know, parents being upset, driver being upset, having to pack your stuff up early. You know, what might have been a good run is no longer a good run for you. You know, that absolutely, that great idea by that track. I think that's a fantastic idea. Teaching moments are, you know, my wife hates that. It's a teachable moment. She hates when I say that phrase. It's true. I mean, just because you listen to it, she also doesn't like the word moist. She's one of those people. Oh, goodness. It's right about this time that it's nice to get a good break at the end of the year, as many Northerners understand. It's nice to be like, phew, that was a long season. But you get about a month into it or so, and it's just like, is it time to race yet? Snow hasn't even flown yet, and I'm like, man. I do miss it out here. It was, you know, I haven't been out here since maybe I came out once to get something. I had to get my impact for something. Oh, take the ACs out of the window. But it's such a mess in here. And part of me should have cleaned. I know I should have cleaned at the end of the year, been more organized and everything. I still have, you know, ideas of actually making it nice in here, you know, get rid of, like, throw out probably 80% of this crap that I do not need. and make it nice in here, make a nice studio, you know, make it more professional like. Money, time type of thing. But I will say this, that come springtime, it is before the season, it's nice to get the good weather. I come out here, I open the doors, I'm like, all right, what needs organizing, what needs taken care of, and it's become a ritual every year. That it's not that I trash it in here. It's better than it has been in years past, but I got to go through stuff there. I'm looking at stuff over here. That's junk. That needs to be replaced. Yep. Swept and cleaned and all that stuff. And I'm sure I'm, again, preaching to the choir where I'm not the only one. Some people, like I see pictures of their shops. I'm a little jelly. I fight before the word hoarder was a thing. We always used to call it pack rat. Back in the day, my grandpa was a notorious pack rat. Even at the shop, you know, where I started to learn my trade of working on cars and tires and this thing. He's a mechanic. As a matter of fact, he's an airplane mechanic. But throughout the years, as he got older, you know, we'd replace a windshield, for instance, cut out a windshield, had a crack in it, something, replace that. He would set it on top of like a garbage barrel, and then he would use it as a bench. Well, he'd just keep on stacking stuff on it, and then finally the windshield broke and all the tools fell over, and it made an entire mess. And then as I came into the fold, as I was learning from my grandfather and father, you know, the tricks of the trade type of thing, of course, it was up to the rookie to clean things, to make them manageable, to go through the toolboxes and make sure sockets got put on, you know, socket racks and stuff like that. And so I say all that to say that I have a little bit of that hoarder mentality, the term that we use now. Maybe I am still a pack rat because I don't have piles and piles of, you know, garbage and stuff laying around, but I do have hey, I might need that someday. I do have that, you know, rattling around in my brain. So, you know, thanks, Grandpa Chuck, you know, rest in peace. But he left me with that little tidbit. I will say this, though. My grandmother came over with her new husband. It was years ago, but she walked in the barn. I was showing the carts to, maybe it was his grandson or something. And she looked in, she was like, you can walk, you know, along the floor. Thank you so much, Benjamin, you know, for doing this. And I was just like, it is a bit better than if Grandpa had the place, because she was obviously privy to the barns at home where Grandpa resided in his pack rectum, yeah, sure, existed. Hey, I have a Yamaha KT100 that keeps following the plug with oil. What should I do to fix it? There a couple things there that could be the cause of it. Yeah, carburetor may need to be rebuilt. It could use some gaskets. It may have something holding the, I don't know if they have needle. Yeah, they have needle. There may be something that is allowing too much fuel to go in. I might start there. Secondly, you could use something, you know, say a cleaner burning oil. I always used Blendzall Gold, or not Gold Label, Green Label, 8 ounces to a gallon. But if I were to look into it, you know, if I were to run my KT100 now, I would probably look into Redline fuel. It's a synthetic fuel. You can run a little less oil. That's a possibility. Beyond that, your flex length. The flex length is the distance between the backside of the piston and where the pipe starts to Y out. Whether or not that's correct, if you have too long of a flex, not only is it going to lower your RPM band, it's going to bring the RPMs way down where the power is really good. It'll increase horsepower, but it also has a tendency to fatten the engine up. So those would be a couple things I'd look at. I would look at carburetor, maybe having it rebuilt, maybe putting gaskets in it yourself. Start there. You know, check your oil if you're running too much. Again, back to the carburetor, your needle settings. I don't know what part of the country you're currently in. I always start with the low speed needle is the tall needle, and the high speed needle is the little stubby one. And I used to do a quarter and a scoot, so about 3/8 on the high speed, and then I believe it was was it a turn and a half on the low speed. So I don't know where your needle settings are. Shut them all the way off, turn out to get your needle settings, and it should give you a good baseline. You check your head temperature, stuff like that. Make sure that you're not going to nuke the thing and get it too awful lean. But if you're fouling plugs, there's something going on that's causing a lot of fuel to be dumped into the engine, whether it be carburation or flex or something like that. Typically, oil really isn't the case usually. I mean, I've heard of people running far less oil than I do. I've always gone with the 8 ounces to a gallon. Regardless of what it is, I believe Blendzall, you can run a bit less. You can run 6 to 7 ounces per gallon, which would make it 8 ounces like 16 to 1. So you're getting into the probably 24 to 1 range on your premix. But yeah, that's I might look at those things first. Also, changing plugs in KT100s is definitely a thing. You gotta, even though it may be a couple of races old, if it is running exceptionally rich, it will have a tendency to foul the plug out. Replacing the plug is going to, obviously help you finish the race type of thing. 32 to 1 fuel ratio and can style exhaust, and the carb is good. Okay, 32 to 1's pretty, yeah, that you should be good. I will say this, that I've never run a can. I don't know what they do as far as the carb settings I just gave you are for a piped engine. That's what all the experience I have is with a piped engine. I've never ran a canned engine, so I'm trying to think who is it Riken? Outtowin.com. They might be worth a shot. Licatus is another one. Licatus Racing. At least to pick their brain about it. They've run KT, both Riken and Licatus have run KT100s for years. They would know, better than I on the can side of things. I guess when I talk about KTs, I always talk about a pipe class because that's what I know. But cans they're a whole different ball game. They create less horsepower, so maybe you would need leaner conditions on the carburetor for that. But 32 to 1 sounds, that sounds light for me, but that's because I run an open, an open style pipe on my KT. I'm going to be learning a lot about these engines. The Legend runs water-cooled FZ09 motor. Ooh, nice. Hey, Ben. Ben, I just tuned in. Are you talking TK? KTs? KT100? Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about a gentleman there was asking about why his keeps on fouling. If you scroll up a little bit more, Doug. I don't know much about the canned engines, so what they do, how they perform, and all that. Canned, typically, or at least around here, they only run those on road courses. So I have zero experience on road courses or their engine packages that they run. So yeah, 32 to 1. If it's that's in for my range of running a KT100, that's really light on the oil, so I don't think it's the oil. So I might look at, possibly the flex length. And if you say the carb's good, then it very well might be needle settings or possibly, just changing your plug more often. But there's got to be a cause why it's fouling the plug. It's got to be getting too much fuel or unburning the fuel, not burning it correctly. I mean, I'd hate to say timing, but it's possible. If it's not firing correctly, there might be unspent fuel in there causing that condition. It's above my pay grade. I take my best stab at giving you an answer, but there's multiple things that can go wrong with two strokes, and unfortunately, that's Doug. That's why I said I run 8 ounces. But if he's running a can engine and it may be different. He's running 32 to 1 and he's fouling the plug. So 32 to 1 is a bunch lighter. You know, obviously that's 4 ounces of oil to a gallon. So that I wouldn't assume that it is the oil that is fouling the plug. It's got to be a fuel issue, either at the carburetor side, at the tuning side, or at the flex length side, to where it's pulling too much fuel. But again, that's talking about an open pipe. That the flex length would be that. A can runs on a different concept than I know. I don't even know what's inside a can. I don't know if there's a mini cone in there or not. That's beats me, man. Quarter turn on the low side, 1 turn on the high side, start the motor and open another quarter. Yeah, that was definitely a thing. I don't know about the can side, but when running KT100, that was, I didn't initially do it, but I always, the past year that I ran my KT100, it was a couple years ago, but that whole thing where you start off like a half turn lean, and then after you go, you're on the straightaway, and open it up that half turn again. But yeah, yep, same. I always went before. It was probably during acceleration, so I kept it lean till I started to launch, and as I launched, then I gave it the old twisteroo. Yep. Well, hello, Jason Stella. Yeah. I am kind of jonesed to race, though. It's going to be many, many months, though. Not if I drive down south. I know that's always an option. That's they have frost busters and this and that. See, Beard Octane just laughed at my message. So I Beard Octane, sponsor channel. They have a non-aluminum deodorant. It's a natural deodorant. They use a probiotic in it to protect your pits. It's what is it? Beeswax based deodorant. No aluminum in it. For those of you who want to, get away from the aluminum, it's just something, my wife and I, decided we're going to try and do. Well, failure, utter failure with most brands. And then Beard Octane came out with theirs and the probiotic, and it works super good. Like my wife would be the first to tell me if I stank or not. I ran out. And I had ordered some, and I was kind of waiting on it to come in. Yeah, it's a little more expensive than, say, your store-bought stuff. But I bought some, what the heck was it? I don't say Dove. That's not it. I bought some, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to continue in the non-aluminum stuff. And as I was incline dumbbell pressing, as my arms went up, I went, ooh. It was... And I sent a message to Joe from Beard Octane, and I said, your deodorant can't get here soon enough. I stink. How long have you been racing KT100? Let's see. I raced Flathead in 2002 for half a year, and then I went to KT100 in 2003 to about 2005. And it did it here and there, it's sprinkled throughout the years, but I got involved in Unlimited All-Stars racing. And then I didn't get truly back on to one until somewhere in the neighborhood of 2022. And then I ran it pretty consistently, aside from UAS racing, from 2023 to 2022 to 24. And then the final, not bragging about it, is just what happened. I ran every other week. I took a break from UAS racing the 1 year, and I ran every other week KT100. It was 10 races for the season, and I won all 10 of those races. Big quarter-mile track. It was my local track that I had started racing on. So, yeah, I probably have, I don't know, 6 years on a KT100, give or take, with some random stuff thrown in between. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you watching the videos and all the stuff everybody does. Sometimes I think I don't say it enough. I probably say it more than some people do. I really do. If you guys you aren't here, then this doesn't exist. if nobody's going to watch it, I don't make them. So you guys coming in and supporting the channel and supporting myself, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. Yeah, stinking is that. Yeah, you're no kidding, man. It was rude. Matter of fact, my wife, we got back from the gym, and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna make some dinner." I was like, "All right, let's go get in the shower." I'm like, "Believe you're saying something to me." Maybe she caught a little. Maybe I cropped us there with BO. Oh, goodness gracious. I think I'll do, maybe. I always say I'm going to do a video, not on this channel, but do a short or something like that, a reel about Beard Octane natural deodorant. And it's real. My wife didn't complain one iota when I had some. As soon as I ran out and I bought this other stuff, she lets me know if my breath stank, if my pit stank, she's not shy about dude. Hey Ben, I just sent you a picture of my special keys. I'm making my. Oh, cool! I will definitely check that out, DZ. Super lightweight, but I won't run them at UAS. But clone KT and slower work great. Nice, very cool. Yeah, Doug at DZ Machine makes some really cool stuff. And I think I lost those nuts again. I'm sorry. I'd show you them, but I think I misplaced them again. I got so much. I just got done saying I got so much junk around here. But he's got some stainless steel nuts that if your exhaust on your KT100, if you fear for them coming off, they have they're pre-drilled for wires and stuff like that. Really nice, not going to rust because of stainless stuff. Super nice. I was going to put them on my clone, but my clone has different studs, and it would take me putting studs in, and it's just something I haven't gotten around to doing yet. Eventually I'll remember when I'm at the hardware store and I get some studs to put in there so I can use the nuts on the exhaust on the clone. Definitely intend on using them, just don't. But Doug makes some really cool stuff. I have a vintage cart and a flat cart with a KT100. I'm yet to get them to the track and run them, but I'm excited to do it next year. Yeah, I love KT100 racing. I can't for the life of me understand why it has died off. So there are a gentleman runs down at Hunterstown, and he's trying to kind of revive, create a flathead. Anybody's got flatheads, especially animals. I don't understand why animals died. What is it, the aversion to horsepower? I mean, it's not that much. What's a good animal? It's got to be 18 horsepower, 18 to 20 horsepower. Dude, why wouldn't you want to go faster? I come from UAS, some of the single fastest karts on the planet, with the exception of super karts, dirt karts at least. Why this aversion to going fast? I don't get me wrong. I like the clone racing. I've gotten quite used to it over the past couple of years. It's fun to me, but also, a couple more ponies would be just sick. And the KT100, the animal platform, people just refuse to get them out. KTs are, you learn, a basic understanding of the tuning capabilities of it. It's fast, man. They are fast. And there's nothing, like a bunch of angry bumblebees just, it just gets me going. I love it. But yeah, KT's some of my favorite stuff. Have I ever blown up a KT100? Yes. I have stuck pistons before. Too lean, too mean. They run really, really good when you get them lean. Don't get me wrong, they like fuel, but there's a balance between the amount of, giving it enough fuel to make the proper amount of horsepower that the engine can produce, and then getting them too lean. They run hotter. They have a tendency to run really good there, but they don't survive if you run them too lean. But yeah, I've stuck. I haven't broken anything aside from a stuck piston on a KT100. It doesn't mean they don't go bad. Cranks and stuff like that, they can go bad. But the KA100s are still in existence in road racing. It's still a thing. Bigger air-cooled fins and stuff like that. They run them, the crazy amount of RPMs and stuff. But KTs are sitting. I guarantee you, there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of KT100s just sitting on people's shelves, and I don't understand why it just doesn't get going. They're not that expensive to run. They really they're the learning component of two-stroke racing is not that hard to understand once you get a grip of it. But when I guess devil's advocate as always, when you have a clone that I couldn't tell you how to, you got to jet them different. Okay, I guess I could figure out how to change a jet into, but I don't run temp on those on a clone. You just plug and go, and I understand the ease of that. But yeah. Do you use roll-off pads on your scale stand? I have an older set of small pads, and I have a big car pad, so there's some mods to do, but I want to know what most of you do for roll-offs. Yes, they're kind of stacked against the wall here, so, but yeah, right there's a pad. There's mine. These are from KKP, all-in-one type deal, but it makes for a easier time. If you want to make an adjustment, you don't want to, I always, when I roll back and I'm going to make an adjustment, I either turn my scales completely off or, just they sit there and not get any damage. You don't want to be bumping them and stuff. I think in the long run, it will preserve the scales. I think that roll-offs are a way better to go. You get out of the cart, you roll it back. You can pick up one side, change what you need to change. Usually it's a cross adjustment, or if you need to move a seat or something like that. So you're not on the pad shifting around or anything like that, possibly causing damage to them. I really enjoy them. If I didn't have the KKP, I would probably build some blocks, some for the setup. What I really like and kind of wish I had would be a scaling table. Now, being a person who scales himself, it might be a bit of a bear, but having the thing up would be really, really cool to have a level, set it up in here. The only problem is it takes up a bunch of space in your shop. So there's pros and cons with anything. But yeah, roll-offs are I definitely would consider building some or modifying something to get roll-offs, just because I think it'll elongate the lifespan of your scales. Obviously you're going to do your camber caster, all that stuff. You're going to do your toe and stuff on the pads because you want it as flat as possible. But roll-offs for your more coarse adjustments just keeps the damage from going, through the scales and possibly damaging them. I think Briggs is costly, so there's probably one reason why that kind of faded out. It's possible. Yeah, I don't disagree. From what I know of the animals, though, they run and run and run. I mean, they're kind of like, they're just a built clone, a bigger CC clone. But yeah, I understand that. That's, people wonder why some of the, olden days UAS engines went out, and the sedans and stuff like that. Parts are expensive. They, when we got UAS, when we got into running motocross engines, it's not that they're cheap, but they're cheaper. You can get a whole rotating assembly for like a two-stroke, for a 250 two-stroke, for, what you might buy a rod for a sedan. It's, they're Italian made, they're super quality, they're really good. I miss the days of my sedan, but prices, as soon as they stopped producing the air-cooled head, that was also a downfall to the sedan. They do have is it a Leopard that takes a sedan piston? They have a water-cooled version, but the problem, you kind of trade off. A water-cooled will perform better, but you also have to carry, you now have to run a water pump, and you have to run a radiator, and the thing about the air cools is that's the engine. They're super light. They, you can really make them sing, but they, they're down on horsepower. I'm not saying they can't win, but they have a hard time winning, especially against something like a water-cooled 250. Say BRC or something like that. The water cools are cool, but you got to run a bunch more stuff. You got to have a dedicated water pump, whether it be electric or an axle water pump with those. So, yep. but yeah, I understand Briggs are, they probably price themselves out of it, but it's hard to compete when you're Briggs. You're dealing with, honestly, Chinese junk. Your clones are they're cheaper. They're easily mass produced, and some mods done to the head and mold it up and roll out. I also feel like the clones become quick money maker. Not to discredit the builder, but when the clones, someone can order all the parts, machined and assembled in general building, and be a builder now. Yeah, yep, you're not wrong in that. That's there are, there's some very reputable people, and they flow test stuff in the States. ARC, Todd Miller, I'm not saying, discrediting any other builder, but there are people that actually put the work in they order a crap ton of heads and they flow test the heads, and then they now the AKRA, NKA allow porting of the heads. Now they can do their stuff to them. And, even though it doesn't bump the horsepower a ton, they do flow better. They make really good power for what a clone makes. And, but yeah, you can get some stuff. You're talking about tenths of a horsepower with clones sometimes. And, getting something already done up. Sometimes you buy an engine and it just runs better than others. Something about I'll say blueprint, it's not blueprinted, but something about the flow of the head, the way everything functions. You'll get a batch of, good ones versus bad ones. And sometimes you hit on one that just, it's within the parameters of the rules and it runs just way better than the other ones. That's a thing too, but that's a quality thing. Who is it that makes the more quality block now? I'm drawing a blank. It's a carburetor company, isn't it? They have a clone block that is supposed to be closer to tolerances and stuff like that. Drawing a blank. What's the best way to get into KT 100 karting in the US? If my answer is going to be road course racing, dirt racing, there are pockets. EC Tillotson, there you go. There are pockets of KTs around. The Pacific Northwest has some. Pennsylvania has some in like Hunterstown, PA. They run some. I think there's still some in the Midwest. I don't know about down south. Down south's pretty dominant with the clone stuff and Predator and Ducar engines. So there are pockets of it in dirt kart racing. But if you truly want to run, KT more often, if you could find I call it a road course, a circuit, whatever. I just don't know the terminology in those guys' world. But they're more prevalent in the asphalt racing realm. But you got some? Okay, they run them in North California. There you go. Yeah, I almost said Carolina. I read first. California. Yeah, there's pockets around the United States. Now there are, like I said, there are thousands of them sitting on the shelf somewhere. If they're not running them at road courses, that it's a bummer. They just have the numbers have dwindled over the years. Used to be such a fun class. I even at my local track, we had anywhere from 10 to 20 KT 100s on the ice on that big quarter mile. They were right at the drive. That's how I got into racing. That's the flathead stuff. I was lap traffic in the flathead. It was rough. It was a rough go. That first half year that I did that, we had intentions of continuing flathead in 2003, but then my dad was approached by Walt Curris, who's become a friend over the past 20-something years, and got us onto the KT 100. And my own band used to run two-strokes in motocross, so it was an easy transition, to be like, all right, two-stroke racing it is. And man, we had so much fun running KTs. It fell off, and once the KT started to fall off, we got into UAS, we got into K35s and K30s and sedans and stuff like that. Went UAS racing, and then kind of I dabbled with it a little couple years ago when there was still a class. We had a good group of anywhere from we'll say 6 to 12 that were showing up every week at my local track, but that local track is now gone. Real bummer that happened. It's still pretty butthurt about that. I raced there for 20 years. And then the neighboring, the owner was 80 and turned 80 and decided, hey man, I've been doing this for like 45 years. I'm tired. He used to run a motocross track, and sold it to his neighbor who runs a quarry. And they're, oh yeah, we're going to keep it open. No, they didn't. Really? Yeah. I can see why. I love KTs. I really wish it was still, I would strap a KT on this Shatter Blast right now and go race it if I could. Absolutely love them. Some of my favorite racing. There's something about that two-stroke. What is the fastest ported kart motor to hit the track? It depends on what class you're talking about. There's an argument to be made for Jimmy Rivers stuff. If you're talking clone, there's an argument to be made for Todd Miller, Jonathan Cash. There's some pretty big names out in the clone world. But if you're talking about what I came from, my world, I run Unlimited All-Stars. So Unlimited All-Stars, to break it down real quick for you, we have a CC limit. We have a body work limits type of thing. But as far as the internals of the engine, you can do whatever you want to the internals of the engine to make as much horsepower as you want. And motocross engines are a big one. Honda 450s are probably one of the most owned. So you can port them and do everything you want to a Honda 450. You can make them 510 cc. That's the limit for 4 strokes. 2 strokes, we're allowed 300 cc's in the Unlimited All-Stars class, and we port the snot out of them and make them run. I currently run a, it's a 250 now. I had a 270 2-stroke, but other than that, you can do whatever you want to them. But arguably the fastest ones that you could get into in UAS racing are probably a 300 2-stroke or a 450 to 510 4-stroke. Doesn't mean they always win races, as evidenced by the team C High Performance. They run smaller displacement, 150 cc's, BRC, and then I'm going to pronounce the name wrong, Corsair. It's 175 cc. They run the smaller engines. They can meet the weight requirements, and Evan and Chris C are lights out fast. I think Evan's 4-time champ, Unlimited All-Star champ. But if you're talking supercarts, then they have twin cylinder 250 supercart engines that they run on laydown carts. There's so many variables. Now, I bring up UAS because that's what I know. All those things, you can run a Wankel, you can run double engines, triple engines, as long as you're under the CC limit for your class and meet the weight restrictions. Most classes are anywhere from 350 pounds up to 430 pounds, depending on the weight class. You can run, whatever combination as long as it hits that CC limit, and they are arguably the fastest thing on dirt. You do have Run What You Brung. Those guys are crazy. Some run snowmobile engines and stuff like that on them. We do have to turn left when you're talking about dirt oval racing. So having a snowmobile engine on the right side of your cart gives you a whole ton of right side weight when you don't want right side weight. But yeah, then again, we also, I'll mention this, Jawas. The Speedway motorcycle engine, trainingless. The 500cc Jawas are monsters. They put fuel injection on them. I don't think anybody's put NOS on them, but you can. I think it's a 15-pound penalty for putting a power adder onto your cart. So if you had to weigh 430 pounds, you now have to weigh 445 pounds, which with a Jawa is no problem whatsoever. I haven't seen anybody with NOS on it. I haven't seen anybody with NOS on their cart since somebody had put NOS on a rotary, on a Wankel before, and that thing was rude. It was, man, he says there was a slight delay because he pumped it into the fuel. It was tapped into the fuel line. And he says he hit the button and it went, psst, and then entered the fuel line. And he says there's a slight lag and then, Yeah, those things were 60 horsepower, and then I hate to even see what the numbers were when that rotary got on NOS. Yeah, I've seen it on industrial too. Somebody did. Was it Eric Pounds? I believe his name. He was out of North Carolina. He put NOS on in industrial, and he was at the track that I raced, that big quarter mile. We were in a big UAS race, and I saw Eric. Go up the outside bank and straight across my nose and wrecked it, and red flag and the whole nine. Wrecked his cart, came up from North Carolina to New York, and he says, I thought it was straight. Yeah. But the power band, it absolutely. Keep in mind that when you're running karts, our limiting factor is the tire. We run 6-inch tires. There's only so much tread attached to the earth. So you can run as much, like the Run What You Brung guys. You can run as much horsepower as you want. You do have to turn, and the limiting factor is the tire. It's, how much till you're just roasting. I know the BRCs can spin at 150cc, spin the tire. I can roast the tires on my 250cc two-stroke. I know the Jawas, I know the 450s, they can just annihilate your rear tires. So there is a point where corner speed is always king. It's nice to have that straightaway speed. You still need it to turn. You still need it to handle. That is one of the that some people forget. Oh, I can get a couple more horsepower out of it. Do you need it? Hey, if you have a good stout package, if you have something that is reliable and makes good power, that you're just not getting murdered on the straightaway, work on handling, work on tires. Corner speed is king. The more corner speed you hold, the more straightaway speed naturally you're going to carry. So that's, yeah. Yeah, power means very little if you can't turn. You ain't kidding. It's not a drag strip, man. I think some people lose focus on that. It's nice to have it. Don't get me wrong. I love the loud pedal. I love it. There is going from bouncing back and forth from clone to open. I did that. I practiced my open, my UAS cart, and then I did a second round with the clone, and I stepped on the throttle of the clone. I'm like, wah, wah, wah. I mean, my Bama's probably putting out 65 to 70 horse, give or take. I don't know. Take it. It's been forever since it's been dynoed, and it was having its neck wrung out on the dyno. I have my settings much leaner, but it's the 250 is rude when it hits the band. Oh, it's such a good feeling though. But then the exhilaration of woo, and then you got to jump out of the gas and hope that you stick in the corner and that you carry that momentum. But I see that it's 72 minutes, guys. Not to cut myself off, but yeah. Same with motorized bicycles, man. Once you dig, yep, you're not kidding. They all have their limiting factor. But 70 minutes in, I thank you very much, everyone, for coming by. I try and only do an hour. I usually go over because I'm a chatty Cathy and just carry on, especially when I'm talking UAS stuff, because I have stories and thoughts and opinions on UAS and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for coming by. I'm not positive what video is coming Sunday. I have some ideas. Obviously, I got a ton of ideas what to do. But we'll find out on Sunday, shall we? Shall we? But thank you very much, guys, for coming by. I appreciate all of you, and I'll catch you in the video Sunday.